Well then, hello everyone. Welcome back to the round table for another Doctor Who round table discussion. And while I've got no episodes or new seasons or anything on television, we thought we'd do some more of these, just discussing the latest things going on in the world of Doctor Who. We had a quite surprising announcement about a week ago at this point. About the future of Doctor Who, not about a commission of any new episodes or seasons or specials or anything, but apparently the BBC are looking to do a CBeebies Doctor Who show to expand the Whoniverse for preschool kids. And so today I have with me Josh and Joe, and we might have Pete later on as well to discuss this exciting developments. Miles is off doing proper adult things while we all talk about kids shows and CBeebies, so that's all fun. But yeah, I mean, Josh, you broke the news to us actually. I think you saw this one first.
Yeah,
What was your reaction? How did you come across the news?
genuinely at first I thought that this was the announcement that basically Doctor Who was just going to continue as a CBeebies show, and I got very scared for a second. And then when I realized, no, this is a spin-off, I was like, okay, fine, that's all right. And actually, I think it's a genuinely really good idea. What I've been thinking for a while and been saying, this whole time, especially with this season, is trying to get new viewers on board, and it's been so self-referential that it's the current past two seasons have been good for a certain age demographic, which is, I would say, like late teenagers to early sort of like 25. And of course, the hardcore Doctor Who fan. But in terms of getting like younger viewers on board, which Doctor Who should always be doing, it's perhaps been missing the mark somewhat. And so I think this is a great idea, especially with what is popular with young children at the moment, like Bluey, to do something in that similar vein to get people of a very young age into Doctor Who. It can only be a good thing. And so, yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I'm excited to see what they do. And I think it's great that we as grown men are sitting here today talking about a CBeebies show.
Joe, just as positive, I imagine.
Um, ish. Josh,
Okay, okay, yeah,
you're completely
all
right,
right.
Josh. It's genius in principle. So, for example, when I was in my previous work, for example, when we put toys out, Bluey was massive. Like literally, we had an entire
Mm.
aisle in John Lewis dedicated to Bluey. So
Mhm.
I could see it for merchandising potential because I can see us getting a bit more access to that stuff. Okay, it might not be quite as detailed as, say, the 5-inch figures that Richard is writing a lovely book on and hopefully will be out soon. That's your plug. But I reckon it'll be more cartoony, like sort of a bit like the Time Squad figures from years ago, will be the
Yeah.
type of
Mm,
toys we'll get. So it's
yes.
genius in principle. However, I do have my concerns about what they're going to do with it. And initially, I was a bit like, oh, so is this what's going to happen with Russell's season three scripts? Are they going to rework them? Because I think recent Doctor Who has been very childlike. When you look at Space Babies, for example,
Mhm.
that could easily be a CBB short with the snot
Yeah.
monster. So it's
Mm.
genius in principle, but depending on when the next series of Doctor Who is, I don't know if this could do damage and therefore give people another way of turning it to say the show is dead. But brilliant,
Mhm.
just if it's done right. And what I do want
Mhm.
to say is two doctors that would lend themselves really well to this would either be the 11th Doctor or the 13th Doctor
Mm.
if they
Mhm.
Yeah.
wanted to animate them, if they needed to go back and get a past Doctor.
My first thought was Jodie Whittaker as well. I think she'd be fantastic in that role, leading an animated kids series. The concern that I kind of have, which you're sort of alluding to, the merchandise, is whether it would kind of split the unity of the Doctor Who brand that has sort of come together since 2018 to have it all under one logo, to sort of split it off into maybe we've got the kiddies stuff and then we've got the proper Doctor Who stuff, whether that will be a bit confusing. But I
Mm.
don't know. It depends on how it's handled. I can see if it depends on how popular this is and how successful it is, to be fair. But I mean, in the past, we've had stuff like Doctor Who Adventures magazine and Doctor Who
Mm.
magazine, and there's been like the difference there between like it's for kids and it's for adults. So I feel like if it's done correctly, there's not going to be a problem. But I think that in terms of the brand management of Doctor Who going forward,
Yeah.
especially in this new era, it might muddy the water somewhat if it's not done well enough.
I was very surprised when I saw it, that the announcement. I thought it comes at an interesting time because, to all intents and purposes, their hands are kind of tied at the moment with Disney and the future of the show, and they're kind of exploring different options, supposedly. And so maybe this is a way for them to move forward independently of that and to do something different. And I think my first kind of two thoughts, slightly kind of referencing what we've already talked about. Number one, how does it affect, like just jokingly, how does it affect canon and Tyler's Wiki? They're going to have a complete field day. Like, depending on which direction they go with it and like which doctor or doctors it is, are all these adventures that are coming up, are they going to be part of the canon? Are we going to have articles about, the doctor fighting the Slovene on CBeebies or whatever in this like 10-minute preschool adventure? And also I think like Joe, you were saying, or Josh, I've forgotten, but like about the merchandise as well. I think it's a really great opportunity to do something with merchandising. The merchandising for the show, apart from the collector's market, hasn't been amazing lately in terms of like broad appeal and your John Lewis's, your store shelves, your big toy displays. I think this is a real opportunity to tap into that and to do something and to just increase the amount of merchandise we're getting, even if it is like plushes and kids' toys. There will still be grown adults collecting it and enjoying it, and it could be the most successful that Doctor Who's been in terms of merchandising for a long time.
There's a vast catalogue of stuff they've got that we might not want to bring back and isn't a good idea to bring back. So, for example, when they brought the Sea Devils back for it's Legend of the Sea Devils, isn't it? The Whittaker story. Yeah. They didn't exactly look great because they obviously kind of reused and tweaked the mold. You know what I mean? They kind of looked a bit ridiculous.
Well, they were very kind of much in the vein of the classic series ones, which I think a lot of people liked, but they weren't necessarily the most practical, were they, for like the movement of the mouths and stuff like that. So, yeah.
But for example, a bit like the Omega mask, that's a bit stupid in the Slovene. I could imagine those faces being like really big on squashed down bodies and actually looking really good for a kid's character and becoming like taking that original iconic design and treating it in a way, not mocking it, but almost stylizing it enough so it's more kid friendly. And I think with this nostalgia baiting way they've gone, that'd be a lot better doing it as an easily accessible kids show. And even the Daleks would lend themselves to an animation treatment.
I think going back to, again, to mention Doctor Who Adventures magazine, they used to run a comic strip in that called Alien Babies.
Yes.
Which was not in any way canon, but it had the monsters and villains from Doctor Who in a very stylized sort of presentation. And they were all in like I think the basic premise was that Dorium had a nursery. So he was just the head of this nursery in his little box. And then he just sort of was looking after these babies, sort of like Silurian and Cyberman and all that sort of stuff. And I can see it working like that because I think in the sort of press release or in the document, the pitch document, they said that the adventures the Doctor would have in fighting these villains would be less sort of evil and more kind of cheeky. And I think that would work because, there's precedent for it in what they publish in this magazine. And I can see it. And what you've been saying as well, Joe, about stylized presentation of the characters, turning that into little toys and plushies is actually really exciting because it's too early to tell. They haven't even found an animation studio. We haven't seen anything, but you can see it working. I'm just excited because a lot of kids these days don't watch Doctor Who. And this, if it's a success, which we always hope it will be, could be a fantastic way to get kids into Doctor Who.
Yeah, it feels like a real kind of untapped audience. I mean, obviously, kids have watched the show in the past, and it's designed as like a kids show, ultimately, or a family show. But like for those kind of preschool age kids, particularly, that feels like something that, understandably, the show has never quite aimed itself at before, quite so much. But it feels like those opportunities, those kind of untapped areas of potential for a 60-year-old show, there aren't that many of them. Not many things that the show hasn't done before. So it feels like, especially if the future of the main show is kind of slightly up in the air in terms of which direction it'll go at the moment. It feels like, yeah, why not? Let's just go and do this. Or, to hell with it. I mean, I think, yeah, in terms of the facts that we've got, like you say, it's not been formally commissioned or gone into production yet. The announcement was just that the BBC are looking for people to pitch to them basically in the next month or so, I think, about what the series should be. So it's still very much up in the air there in terms of what it is. And I suppose, in theory, not that people will be doing this, but the production companies that are pitching, in theory, could be listening in. They could be watching this.
I was going to say, I hope they're listening to what we're saying and they can take it on board.
So, on that note,
credit all of us.
On that note, what would we do with it? What should it be? Because I think, touching on the points we've already made there are some very interesting opportunities to mine the show's back catalogue. I suppose it's not clear, is it, from the pitch, whether this would be something with a new Doctor or an old Doctor or multiple Doctors maybe alternating between them. It might be quite a nice thing, like if the recurring cast, because these shows always have like a kind of recurring family of characters, don't they? It might be quite nice if it was like all the Doctors like living in a house or something together, or all in the TARDIS, and like one day of the week you get Colin Baker, then it's Joe Martin, then it's Patrick Troughton or whatever. And I suppose if it was like one of those shows where they don't kind of have voices or any audio, or it's all just like sounds, like Mr. Bean kind of thing, they could get away with doing that without the need for people to necessarily still be alive or to be sounding the same, and as well with all the different ways it could be stylized, the different options I could go for there with the artwork and stuff, and the style, it could be really cute or not, or there are different ways there. What do we think? And we said like the 11th and 13th Doctors would be particularly suited to it, but yeah, any other ideas about how it could go?
I think the way you tell it, and this would be the best way of doing it, because I think some of the Doctors would be incredibly hard to get hold of.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure Chris or Peter would be exactly jumping to return to something like this. I think a bit like at the end of Chibnall's era with the companion therapy group, maybe that's continued in a way, and maybe it's a group of companions just sat in a coffee shop retelling like their stories with the Doctors, and therefore you could have several different iterations set within their era. And I think the best way of like softly doing it is you could have a few new adventures in there, but you could have retellings of old, but in a really child-friendly way. So, for example, iconic stories like the Daleks, you wouldn't necessarily need the first Doctor in it. You could have any Doctor you wanted. They're on Skaro. The Daleks want to take over the planet. They don't go into any of the nuclear stuff because obviously that's a bit dark. And then they just have a funny end. You know what I mean? Just like some dopey retellings, but that's light and fun, but mixed in with some new. I think that could be a fun, because that's a soft launch into, we've got this back catalogue on BBC iPlayer, here you are, but not being so self-referential to it like the current era, where it's like, okay, you need to know who this character is in order to understand it. So like a retelling method.
Realistically, it's probably going to be either one Doctor or an entirely new creation. But I think it would be lovely if actually, even in the intro of the show, however they do it, if it's like some kind of in the Night Garden type thing where they've got like a monologue at the start which introduces the whole show, if it introduces the idea of that the Doctor is someone who takes on many faces and can look like anyone, I think that would be a really lovely message, like for kids at a young age, and also will get them introduced to the fact that, when they move on to hopefully watch the main show when they're older, the Doctor's probably going to look a bit different. So to do that, and I think that would be really lovely, and that any episode it could be a different Doctor, and it's just the Doctor looks like this today, and the Doctor looks like this. I think that would be actually really lovely to do.
Again, going back to the point about like TARDIS wiki and canon and stuff, I think it'll probably be something that is quite sort of independent, and maybe this is a bit of a moment where like the world of Doctor kind of blows open in a way where it's like, canon, like it's been said before that canon doesn't matter, but like it really doesn't matter now. Like, we're just going to go and do this whole other show that uses all these old Doctors and companions and monsters and stuff, and like, yeah, who cares? Like, it doesn't fit in. Like, just
Mhm.
it's its own thing. Um, yeah, and like Joe, you were saying about kind of mining old stories and retelling old stories as well. That'd be a really nice way to do it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think
It's the
personally
new
speaking,
Tales of the
yeah.
TARDIS.
Just
Is this
better.
the Tales of the TARDIS season two we were waiting for?
Oh, best spin-off ever coming up. Here we go. But yeah, like I think yeah, having a recurring cast of all the Doctors, or I mean, there are quite a few of them now, aren't there? But like that'd be a really nice way to do it, and like it's a different Doctor every day of the week, or something like that.
Mhm.
Where and that's just kind of like accepted as part of the fabric of it and the concept of it and the
Mhm.
premise that like oh the Doctor has a different face. Yeah, like
Which makes sense because
today it says Doctor,
and it is
tomorrow it says
accepted
Doctor.
that the Doctor just changes now, especially with, the fact that it's gone on for so long and there is this long history. I think that that is quite a good way of going about it, especially since we're not in like 2005 anymore, and it's not a case of like this is the first Doctor and we're rediscovering for the first time. The Doctor is,
Mm.
I guess, this is a testament to it, the fact that we have seen the CBBC show, CBeebies show,
Mm.
is the fact that the Doctor has become almost like a mythologized legendary character in British fiction. And so to approach it from that perspective, I think it makes sense to show, yeah, they have many faces, they've had many lives, the many lives of Doctor Who. Let's see a point in the Doctor's life at this point. And it's just the adventure and the fun of it, which you get across to kids. I also think when it comes to canon, I don't think it will be a big issue at all. Like I don't think people stay up at night thinking, how did the Doctor Who Mr. Men books fit
It's
into
into
the
all of this.
chronology? You know,
Oh,
I
I'm
think
sure
that,
somebody does.
but I think that, it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
a
its own
good
separate thing,
comparison.
and it's
Yeah,
got a
the Mr.
separate
Men stuff.
purpose.
Mm.
Yeah. In the same way they
So
do it with like Marvel, I think. They have
yeah,
their own, you've got the Marvel movies, but then you've got like Marvel little short films for like made out of Lego and like little kid stuff where they're in these sort of like plushy format. It's just all these ancillary stuff. I don't think there'll be too much debate about canon. Um, Looking forward to the still book though, whenever that comes out with the whole show.
What the artwork?
oh
Yes.
gosh,
I need an
yeah.
Alex X Zhang artwork of the CV
Mm.
show. That's what I want.
Oh dear.
I mean, the legacy of it will be interesting as well because I think like commissioning 52 episodes to broadcast. I think is it 26,
26 a
27
year.
or yeah, and I think is it 2027? I think when it's supposedly starting and they're starting production early next year. I think all being well, but it's like yeah, it'd be funny because you have 26 a year or whatever. But if it's successful, it could be the type of thing that like Bluey or the other shows from our
Peppa
childhoods
Pig,
or whatever,
where it's on just all time.
where exactly like in years to come, when we've got our own kids and stuff, like it's on before school. Like they're still showing like random repeats.
Mhm.
It could have this afterlife, and but yeah, like potentially like stuff like Bluey, like kind of really reach international audiences as well, and with the
Mhm.
merchandising and everything, there's a proper opportunity there. So hopefully they don't mess it up. But hopefully, it's good.
But then again,
Yeah.
it's Doctor Who, isn't it? Like I I've been told that this was one of the many pitches they made to Disney, what during the season two, like
Oh,
seasons
interesting.
deal.
Because
So
there were
this
the
was like,
rumors about a show about the monsters at some point, weren't there? I think people thought, oh,
and
that could be an animated thing.
it was going to
Perhaps.
be a kid show in a
Yeah,
similar vein to so on Disney Plus. Star Wars kind of has something called Young Jedi Adventures, I think, where
right.
it's like a more kids cartoon equivalent with like Yoda. And I think the initial pitch was something a bit like that, where you'd have a Doctor figure that everyone would know, but the rest of the supporting cast would be new.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But it does feel like they've. I'm really glad they've got the ambition of doing it because I think it could be really successful. I just hope Russell T Davies isn't writing it. That's all I pray. Just
Well, he's
give
not
kids a
mentioned
fun show.
anywhere, to be fair, which I thought was quite interesting. He's not mentioned anywhere in the press release.
Oh
Hmm.
So
well, he'll be
maybe he
sacked
hasn't got any,
soon, so it doesn't matter.
maybe he's not got anything to do with it. I just had a thought as well, though. If it's going to be, if we're going to run with the idea that the Doctor's going to change, in these episodes, it's going to be all different types of actors. Surely you'd get Big Finish involved somehow. surely it won't take that much to, okay, let's set aside, we're gonna record these like three of these like 10-minute episodes with like Colin Baker today, and then we'll get Peter Davison in tomorrow when he's doing another Big Finish story just to record something. That seems a little bit of a no-brainer to try and capitalize on that if you've already got doctor actors who work in voice acting regularly with a production company, which have worked with the BBC before with animation, with granted it was a long time ago, but with Sharda and real time.
Yeah.
So and also I think they're involved. I'm not sure. I think they might have been involved with the recording of Infinite Quest somehow, or I think that might have just been Gary Russell. But like,
Okay.
yeah, it seems like a no-brainer to sort of capitalize on that if you've already got actors working in that field
Hmm.
to take advantage of that, maybe.
Yeah, I saw people saying that, and I kind of thought. I suppose I thought, oh, is that like a very fanish thing to think? Like, which is why I was thinking more along the lines of, oh, it could be more of a silent thing where you have like noise, like maybe you have the first Doctor and like he's making some gruff, like grumpy noises, and rather than saying
Just going,
dialogue, to get,
hmm,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly, yeah, that's going to get
yeah.
Like a
around the
narrator,
the
A
audio
sort of
thing.
Mr. Bean type Doctor Who.
Exactly. But actually, I
Yeah.
suppose conversely, you could do that. Yeah, get the actors that are still around, and for the doctors that aren't still around or don't want to do it, maybe you just use like archive recordings, like archive audio, and you
whatever they're legally allowed
take a
to
line
use.
from here, take a line from there, and just knit something together somehow. Because I suppose, as I'm saying that, yeah, I suppose they've done that for stuff before, like the Lego Dimensions game, things like that, where there are
Mhm.
little audio clips of or catchphrases of things of the Doctors. And catchphrases, that would be good for a kids show as well. Like if each Doctor had their own catchphrase, or like using the already established ones, and yeah, kind of the repetitiveness of that could actually work in their favour. So, in true timey-wimey fashion, is that still a thing? We've got Pete with us now for some thoughts about the CBeebies project and his pitch. So, Pete, what are your thoughts on it? What would you do? What's your pitch for Doctor Who on CBeebies?
So, gonna be very honest with you now. I haven't actually looked into this, so I don't even know what it is. It's something to do with Doctor Who and CBeebies.
Yeah,
Um,
you're doing well.
just wanted to be on a
Where's
round
that?
table, to be honest.
Yeah.
No. So what have they opened pictures of the, or I don't know what?
They're taking pictures, yeah. So it's very early stages. It's kind of still not quite sure like, which way it's going to go or what it's going to look like, what it's going to be, which doctors are going to be in it, all that kind of stuff. But we were talking about like how it'd be quite nice if they had all of the doctors there represented, maybe either by like using archive clips or doing like a Mr. Bean type thing where they don't speak, they don't say words, they just like make noises. It's like Hartnell, like all this kind of stuff, and you just see them like running around and doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, any thoughts about what a Doctor Who show could look like on
Yeah, because
CBeebies?
that'd be kind of a little bit like the Mister Men, wouldn't it? When they did the Doctor Who Mister
Yeah,
Men,
yeah.
a little bit like that. Yeah. Don't know. Wait and see. I don't really have any strong thoughts on it. Um,
It's fair
uh,
enough.
I probably should have planned this, to be
That's
honest.
it. That's it.
Am I am I gonna watch it? Maybe it's got a Doctor Who brand on it, but am I gonna? I don't know. I don't know. Wait
Might be
and
the
see.
only
I guess.
thing we get, Pete.
Yeah, true. True. I've got a friend who's a baby, so maybe I'll watch it with him. I mean, so that sounds a bit weird. I mean, I have got a friend. My friends have got a baby, so I
Yes.
could watch it with him.
Uh-huh.
And he is a Doctor Who fan, so I don't
we
think by
go.
choice, but he's a Doctor Who fan. So
Indoctrinate them early.
yeah, so I
Well,
guess
that's
get
what
him on
the
the round
show's all
table.
about, isn't it? That's the whole point of it.
Indoctrination.
Yeah, yeah. A
So,
round table of babies. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, space babies. No, it'll be interesting. I don't really know, like I said, I don't really know a lot about it, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. It's nice they're doing something a bit different with the brand because it does feel like for the last few years, I don't know, we have started to see the Hooniverse open up a little bit more now. We've got the War Between coming soon, but it does feel for the last like I don't know 10 years, maybe more than 10 years, the brand's been quite kind of set in its ways as to what the brand is. But now that we're getting stuff like the CBeebies thing and the spin-offs and stuff, it's cool, man. It's nice to see something a bit different. So yeah, we'll watch this space, I guess. Yeah, guess guess we'll see what happens.
Good times ahead. Hopefully, very very fun. I think it'll be interesting to see, and it won't be happening like we say for a couple of years. We're not going to be seeing it. But looking forward to the first CBeebies roundtable reviews.
the first of 52 to come.
Discuss and analyse every episode. Yeah, up nice and early, and doing them.
How was this
Good
broken canon for the 1,000,000th time?
Oh, so you just know that someone's gonna make that video. But it won't be us. It won't be us. Well, there we go. Doctor Who and CBeebies, the collaboration that we never expected, never knew we needed, never thought we'd have. But here it is, and it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out and develops over the coming months and years. But what are your thoughts, your pitches for the CBeebies show? What do you think it should be? Who should be in it? Which doctors, companions, monsters? What format should it take? And so what are your thoughts down in the comments below? And thank you, Josh and Joe, for your input on this one, for your ideas. And I'm sure we'll be back soon for more roundtable discussions and reviews while the show is off air. So, yeah. Bye-bye. CBeebies.
Bye.
Night.
Night.